Hello, New Rochelle. Welcome to another edition of What Matters Most. We are taping at Trinity Elementary School, where everything you do matters. We have a special guest in studio, but first, we'll get to some good news. Congratulations to our newly formed Albert Leonard Middle School debate team. They had their very first outing in December, and they brought home a first place in their division and a second place group trophy with 10 individual award winners. Way to go, team. And congratulations to our New Rochelle High School senior Emma Farley on receiving the 2022 Youth Service Award. The award from the County Youth Board and our City Youth Bureau is in recognition for leadership, dedication, and service to the community. We are so proud of you. How about some fun facts? Did you know that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964? And did you know that snowflakes fall at the rate of 3 miles per hour? Finally, did you know that sugar is found in all of our plants? Maybe that's why I love to have salad and lettuce and a lot of different vegetables. Special guest joining us in studio today. Hello, Curly Bastillos. So glad to have you here. You are our new Dean of Students at Isaac E. Young Middle School. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for being here today. I know it's a new position, but you're not New Rochelle. Could you tell us a little bit about, for our viewers, about your background, why you came to New Rochelle to start your career as an educator, and you know what you've been doing before you got to the Dean of Students role?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
It's a pleasure.
Representing Isaac E. Young for the position of Dean of Students. Something about myself is that although I did not grow up in the United States, I was born in the United States, I came here when I was 17 years old with my family. So I was born in Ecuador. I pursued my college career in the United States. I started in New Rochelle, my career as a teacher, as a Spanish teacher. So I've been working with the SILA students, the SILA program, which is a dual language program that allows students, it's a fantastic program, right, that allows students to either learn Spanish, as a new language, but also to the students who are or have been exposed to the language at home, because of the parents and family members, they continue to develop, the language and strengthen, the language in that way, the language skills.
It's great. No, and in fact, we have our program at the high school is really expanding, and we give that seal, the SILA seal, and award it to students, and it's really in recognition for their great achievements. So you started your teaching career there.
I started my teaching career at Isaac E. Young. I worked as an educator for 13 years. I was in the classroom educating 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I did not take for granted, any year or of my career, as I thought that every year would push me through be a better educator for my students. Right. As you know, our students have changed tremendously with the influence of, electronics, social media, the internet itself, are nuances to, education that perhaps when I was growing up, those things were not necessarily part of, what I was able to access. So I think that being in the classroom, having this strong background of knowing the students has allowed me to pursue, to be, more involved in the lives of my students. As you know, 70% of the students at Isaac E. Young come from a Spanish-speaking, family. So I think that being able to create these bonds, being able to create this alliance with the families where they can trust me, where they can speak to me in their language. I think I'm fortunate to be able to bring that to the community. So I am grateful to be in the position. I am learning a lot. I've been in the position since the month of September. Now is going to my 4th month. And it has been a lot of learning for me. I think our children are fantastic students who are giving me the opportunity to guide them to, especially now that I'm working directly with the 7th grade. Very tough, time in their life. So I am fortunate to be able to be that person who's there for them, guiding them and supporting them.
Why is this, Curly? Why is this position, Dean of Students, with their new positions at Isaac and as also at Albert Leonard? Why is the position so important? And talk a little bit about what does day to day look like? I'm sure every day is very different, but from your perspective now, this only 4 months, and why you applied for the job, why were you interested in, why is the position so important? And then talk a little bit about what your day to day is like.
The district has been in the role of moving towards social justice and restorative practices.
Right.
And I think that was something that was a learning experience for me. And it was, very fascinating to see things from a different lens that on my experiences and my upbringing, perhaps I wouldn't have thought about. So I think that being part of that series of, professional development opportunities for school leaders, for teachers, for school counselors, it was a whole committee that was involved in that, gave me that, I woke that interest in learning more and doing more from the culturally responsive lens. So I think that many times when we were talking about disciplinary concerns, right? Many times things can be very subjective to whoever is dealing with a particular student. If I have that same student in my class, perhaps I have a different perception of the student because I have a bicultural background.
Right.
But to somebody else who doesn't have that background, the student might come across in a different way. Right. So I think that being part of that professional development, being part of that learning experience, I think allows me to reach to my students and their families from a lens of that cultural responsiveness.
Sure.
Like I understand where you're coming from. I understand the struggles that you might have. However, I'm here to support you. I'm that adult that is here to be the guide and, work with you and your students.
How do you interact with your colleagues, right? So, your peers and, fellow teachers that, you have worked with. How do you interact with them daily? And then, how do you interact with your students?
So with my colleagues, I am always there to support their needs. I think that there have to be conversations around what happened in the classroom and how we can improve all of us together as an institution. So I think that those are important conversations to have. When I talk to my colleagues, it's always from a point of respect, but also delivering a message for what is best for our students. So I think that it's an important component in my conversation with my colleagues. It is a job that we have to do together. It's not a one person's responsibility. It's not because I'm the dean now I have to resolve many other situations that perhaps we can all work together as a team. So I think that's the message that when I talk to my colleagues is prevalent to me, that this is a work that it's going to be continuous. It's going to be during the school year, throughout the school year, and we hope we can reach as many students as we can. I understanding what it means to have a progressive disciplinary approach in the classroom, to what it means to have educational opportunities for the students where they are cognitively engaged, where they are critically thinking, communicating with each other in ways that they are educating themselves, and not necessarily have some time to leverage to what they are able to do in the classroom.
Talk a little bit about your connection with students. What does that look like day to day? And I think a big part of what you're saying in your message is that the importance today is around relationships between our students and relationships between students and adults, and that restorative work, and why the approach around that is because we're working to restore, build relationships of trust. But then when there's issues, we look to restore those relationships. And so I'm curious about how you're building relationships with all of your students in the school.
Again, I think that one of the main components to building relationships to come to mind, one is trust. Right? Students have to be able to know you, to trust you, to know who you are, to know also that you are a human being, that you are vulnerable just like they are. You're not, a person that is going to be the monster for them. I'm not the dean that is coming after them, but I am somebody that they can come to me when they need me.
Nice.
So I think that's my main thing with my students. I want to make sure that they understand that I'm there as a person of support, as a person to listen to them, as a person to guide them in their middle school years, and as a person to allow them the opportunity to reflect and what their behaviors are on a day to day. When I don't like to use so much the word detention, but reflective time,
Right.
So every time that I have to talk to a student about a disciplinary concern, I like to tell them, okay, so complete some assignment for me where you have the time to reflect and thinking about your actions. It's a reflexive process, it's a thinking process that perhaps on a day to day our students don't have the opportunity to actually stop and think about what they're doing and why their actions impact not only their behavior, not only how they have relationships with other students, but also how those actions affect them academically.
Right.
So
What I love about it, about the work and the way you talk about it, is it's from that teacher educator perspective, right?
Right.
If a student doesn't know how to read, we teach. If a student is trying to learn how to solve a math problem, we teach. But sometimes when it comes to discipline, when a student does something wrong, we have always lent towards sort of punishing. But what you're saying is that it's a teachable moment,
it's a teachable
right?
moment,
And we
right.
try to get them to reflect. We try to get them to understand, the consequences of their behavior, and to move forward and to become better. I'm sure families really appreciate having you in this role. What are you hearing from your families, and how do they interact with you?
Families have been extraordinarily supportive to me. I am so appreciative of the work that I am able to get done along with the parents
Mm,
as a team, because they are an important component to our children education.
right.
So I think that I want to extend my gratitude to all the families who allow me to work with their children every day. As is, their education is one of the most important things that we are doing to shape the lives of
Right. Right.
future citizens. So for that, I'm so grateful. Yesterday I had an interaction with a parent who actually said, "Thank you so much for allowing my child to think about his behavior and for giving him an assignment where he has to be reflective on how his actions are affecting his day to day interactions and how right now he's supposed to be in class, yet he's not in class because he had to be removed for, a situation that happened." So hopefully, being able to reflect on what happened decreases
Right.
the amount of time the students lose of instructional time with their teachers. So um, I have nothing other to say that thank you so much to the families who allow me to do this work, and everyone, all the stakeholders involved.
Yeah, thank you, Curly. That's a beautiful way to talk about your work, and we'll let that be the final word. We're so lucky and grateful to have you here in New Rochelle, part of our community, and and it's just so powerful to have you, and then Colin Smith, your colleague up at Albert Leonard, helping to do this work. Working with our middle school students and their families, and our faculty to find a better way to really approach how we're building climate culture, and making sure that our schools are welcoming, affirming, and great places for our children to learn, and our families to feel welcome. So thank you for doing all the work you do, and it's wonderful to have you, and I really want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I appreciate the
Yeah.
invitation.
Yeah, you're welcome. So there we have it, New Rochelle, another great edition of What Matters Most. Stay tuned. We'll have some more exciting episodes, with some really wonderful guests coming soon. Have a great day, New Rochelle.